Hey there, Tom Sox fans. I'm Kelly Warner and joined alongside Brooke Steach and Danielle Stein from CBS. We are here at Crutchfield Park because today is the last game of the Tom Sox season and it is Women in Sports Night, which is why you have a panel of females here. Danielle, start us off. How did you decide that you wanted to work in sports?
Yeah, so I always grew up just a huge sports fan. I'm from the Boston area, so it's kind of in our blood down there. And I was always also really into theater, performing, singing, that kind of stuff. So I kind of got introduced to the world of sports journalism, and I thought that was like a perfect way to fuse both of those interests with being on air, being in front of people, talking in front of people, and also my love for sports.
For sure.
So perfect. Now, obviously, you've seen a lot of things go on being a sports reporter. So what is one of your favorite memories being a sports reporter, and being in the industry?
Absolutely. I think recently when I just went down to Hartford, Connecticut for the Virginia men's lacrosse in the national championship, that was the first time I had been there to see the blue and orange confetti fall on the field. So that was a really cool thing for me to be there for. It was really neat too to just, the energy of doing live shots throughout the day, throughout the whole weekend, and there's just a lot of energy, excitement going on. And it's always a good thing when the team you're covering wins because it's a happier report.
For sure.
Oh, Brooke and I are both students in sports broadcasting at Penn State. Brooke, you do a lot of reporting at Penn State. Do you have a favorite memory from your job as a sports reporter so far?
So I cover the Penn State women's hockey team for the school newspaper at Penn State called the Daily Collegian, and I think it was just so cool because obviously we're coming off a tough year. I was one of the few people who was actually allowed to be in the arena, see it. I was new to Penn State as a transfer this past fall, so definitely my favorite memory was going to my first women's hockey game and being able to actually work for the team and see it live, and then get to do a post-game conference with the coach. So definitely my favorite memory being a sports reporter. What is yours?
Honestly, the best experience I've had is being here with the Tom Sox, and I think I've just loved being able to do stories, and my favorite one, it hasn't been completed yet, but I've been working on a story with the host families, and it's been great to tell their stories and meet them, and the people I've met here in Charlottesville have just been so nice, and I love just getting into their lives and hearing about how they decided to be host families and these other players who are just like us coming to Charlottesville for the first time. I just like telling those sports stories for sure.
I will say my first introduction to working in Charlottesville was covering the Tom Sox in 2019 when they won the championship of the Valley Baseball League. So I thought that was the coolest thing to be able to cover my first championship with the Tom Sox.
You just get all these championships.
I know.
What a moment to shine. So a fun fact, you were a former president for AWESOME, the Association for Women in Sports Media at Maryland University, and Kelly is going to be the upcoming president at Penn State University. I'm currently a member at Penn State, so what did it mean for you to lead a chapter like that, so powerful for women in sports? And Kelly, what are you looking forward to then?
Yeah, it's just been the coolest thing. I mean, at Maryland and a school like Penn State as well, they attract so many people who are interested in sports media. And of course, the subsect of women who are in that is a lot smaller compared to the men counterparts. So it's just so cool that we can have a group where we can come together, talk about things where, only we can truly relate to, talking about some struggles, talking about some just different experiences, good, bad, ugly, beautiful, all in between, which is super awesome. Just getting to connect with alumni and other professionals in the field who have gone through what we do and get better insight. I'm trying to think. We've had amazing panels at Maryland. We had Christine Brennan, who is a big friend of the University of Maryland, who works for CNN covering sports there. We've had a lot of different panels who've just come and talk to share their experience. So just being able to connect and find that bond with other women is just amazing.
Yeah, I came into Penn State knowing I wanted to do sports media, but had no experience coming in. And, you just show up to the involvement fair looking for stuff. And when I found that there was a club that was literally for women in sports media, I was amazed because I've always been a big feminist about women empowerment. So the fact that there was a club specifically for that, and Danielle hit on it the best. You're just meeting with women who share the same things and they only get it. I would love going to awesome meetings and you just get to laugh about the way guys can mansplain sports to you, or just the way we all support each other is the best. That is my favorite thing I've gotten out of the club. I love that we all talk and we're like, I got this opportunity, and everyone's happy for you. And yes, the people that we've gotten to meet and the panels that we've gotten to do are great. I am absolutely honored to be the president for this year, and I'm just hoping I can keep up the success that Penn State's chapter has had thus far. We were National Chapter of the Year about almost 2 years. It was 2016 and 2018, so like pretty
Very
proud
awesome.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can say, you know, I just transferred to Penn State, so everything was virtual or awesome meetings, but I met so many people, even on Zoom. You guys did a great job, you know, still having all these meetings, getting guest people to come in. I've definitely learned a lot, and it's so great to get to talk to like professionals like yourself and just ask questions and get to learn more every time.
So Danielle, tell us, what has your experience been either in college and your time in the professional world being a woman in sports?
Yeah, I mean, so I came into Maryland the same way that you guys came into school, knowing I wanted to do sports journalism, which obviously is a male-dominated field. So when I first got there, there wasn't necessarily a program where I could see myself working because there was no TV sports program. So me and a friend of mine actually started it, which was really cool because it's still growing to this day, even since I've graduated. It's a weekly show we do covering Maryland sports, Maryland athletics. And it was crazy because I was one of the people in charge, but I was a woman and pretty much the rest of the group was all men. So you get a sense of pride in that sense of, you know, still, you know, getting that respect from your counterparts because you're doing your job well. But, you know, there are some parts that have been intimidating at first, like, you know, walking into a press conference, being the only woman in the room and asking the head coach or a player a question. I mean, when I first started, at least, that was definitely something I was more aware of. Now I feel I like walking in and seeing other women, of course, but I also like, you know, being confident enough to ask that question in front of Tony Bennett or in front of Bronco Mendenhall at Virginia, for example. Because it just shows like you're not going to be intimidated by anyone else in the room, and you're not going to let the fact that you're one of the few women get you down.
Yeah, speaking of that, we're seeing a lot of women get into the industry recently. So growing up, who was someone that you looked up to a lot and made you want to be a sports reporter?
Yeah, so she came on later in the scene, but my ultimate, what I want to be is Katie Nolan. If you guys know who that is.
She's my favorite.
Yep, so she's from my hometown too, so I feel like we have a bit of a connection. We've connected before. She's just so herself, which is my favorite thing about her, is she can just be open and funny and know how to really get a good point across. She's a great interview with her guests. And she's just very engaging too. So I really love, and she also is very empowering towards women in sports who are up and coming as well. So I have a really good moment where I had connected with her when I was working at ESPN for an internship, and she sent me a note later on basically telling me how like us women have to empower each other, because that's going to be how we're all going to succeed in this industry, is if we're all supporting each other. It shouldn't be a competition. It's not this person against this person. It's we all want to see each other do well. So that message that she sent me was really, really special to me.
I don't think Katie Nolan gets enough respect for what she's broken for women, because I love, like you said, she can be herself, she's funny. That's not usually a place women get to fill. It's like you're allowed to be here, but you have to like stay in your lane. She gets to be the comedian sort of aspect and like, you know, just not be completely in the box of like what women are typically expected of. So, especially that. Brooke, who's someone that inspired you to pursue sports broadcasting?
Oh my gosh, it's so hard to pick. Probably Erin Andrews, honestly. I mean, I'm a huge NFL fan. Shout out the Steelers real quick. No, she definitely was the best. I love watching her sideline report. That's honestly probably my dream job, to be on the sidelines of any football game. But also, I had a really close connection with one of my past professors at my previous school, Point Park. Her name was Chelsea Pompiani, but her sister's Selena. She works for KDKA TV in Pittsburgh, and she was a great role model for me, and she definitely helped me a lot, taught me a lot, and everything else. But if we can go into this real quick, you said she gave you a lot of good advice, but what is some advice you have for future sports journalists who want to do the same as us?
Wow, so there's a lot I could say. In terms of being in college, I'd say, if kind of what I was going back to before, if you don't see an opportunity that fits exactly what you might want right now, make it yourself. Because no one's gonna, make it for you. And if you want to do something, you should be able to do whatever you want. So take that initiative. If you're looking for something, go out there, and even if there's not class going on, going out and shooting a stand-up in the field just to get those reps in. You're your best advocate. You're your best, to put yourself out there. So that's a good advice I would like to give. But also what I was saying before is just be confident in your abilities. Don't let people taking you down, haters out there. There's always going to be people who have something to say, but just know for yourself what you can do, and just be proud of that you're a woman in sports, because it's a really cool thing. And as you said, we're seeing more and more of it.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I tell people all the time, like when we talk to younger people, I'm always like, you have to make your own opportunity. That is the answer to everything. They're not going to come knocking your door down. You have to knock everyone else's door down, for sure.
Yes, lots of hard work will definitely be worth it in the long run. But the Tom Sox have their final regular season game tonight. So what are you guys looking forward to see in the playoffs? You know, we face the Generals tonight. You were just there the other night. So what are you guys looking forward to see?
The Waynesboro Generals have been a little bit of a kryptonite for the Tom Sox. Even when they were having a hot streak before, they went to Waynesboro, had a bad loss. I was there, bad loss. And then they came back, played on 4th of July. They broke their streak of losing on 4th of July, so that was exciting. But even the other day, Tom Sox pulled it out, but it was a close game. It was closer than, recently, the Tom Sox have been beating people 7-2, 7-1, 11. They've been scoring. They've been dominant. So this was a close game. It was tough, just one different play and it could have ended a different way. And I think what should help is the Generals probably won't have as good of pitching as they did the other day, because they, can't have the same pitcher. But if the Tom Sox just need to keep playing their own game, keep the bats hot, they should be all right.
Definitely. Now, what have you seen throughout the Tom Sox players? Have you got to talk to any of them after the games?
Yeah, I've connected with a few of them. They've been awesome. This is a really good group of guys. They seem like they're all really having a lot of fun here as well and connecting with each other. And they're all super excited just to be here in Charlottesville. That's the big message that I have gotten. I've talked to Coach, and he's also been seeming like he's been leading this group really, really well. So if they can just do what they were doing back in 2019 when I last saw them, because the year off and everything, of just really meshing at the right time, which is exactly what it seems like they've been doing. There's just a few games left. The postseason's short here in Valley Baseball League, so just closing it out the way that they've been doing this whole season, I think they should be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, we've all covered the Tom Sox all season. Danielle's here all the time. Do you guys have a favorite moment so far?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I got to think about this one.
I think personally, I really liked the day when Chris Long came, because I had not met him before, so that was a cool experience to get to interview him and talk to him about why coming to Tom Sox game was so fun, just being part of the community as well. So I enjoyed that a lot.
Definitely. I guess I'd have to say the 4th of July game, just because I was around field reporting, talking to all the fans. There were so many people here. They got the win. It was really enjoyable and definitely a great moment to be here at Crutchfield.
I was going to say 4th of July because it was so cool to break the streak, but it's funny I didn't think of Chris Long when I literally had to keep the tears back meeting Chris Long, because Danielle gets it because she's a Patriots fan, but I'm an Eagles fan, so something we can agree on is loving Chris Long. But, I want to ask, because the reason why we're all want to work in sports is because we're sports fans. So just for fun, what's your favorite memory as a sports fan? Let's all go around, just living it as a fan. What was your favorite memory?
Fortunately, there's too many to pick from as a Boston fan.
You have a lot more than I do.
Even though I was super young at the time, 2004 when the Red Sox finally won the World Series once again, that was just one of the most iconic moments in my personal life, just seeing Boston really bond over sports again in terms of the Red Sox. That was really cool. And then obviously so many Patriots Super Bowl wins.
When you started with 2004, I was like, okay, you going to be the Eagles in 2004.
Yeah, I guess I have to say, I'm a huge Pittsburgh fan all around. Penguins, Pirates, Steelers. I've seen a lot of championships. The Penguins winning back-to-back Stanley Cups got to be my number one, though.
I appreciate you guys all saying how many championships you have, because you know that I have not experienced that. But the Phillies 2008 World Series was a great moment, but so that was a great one. And Chase Utley will always be my favorite athlete. But the Eagles Super Bowl in 2017, I don't think
we don't talk about that one.
I don't think anything will ever top that moment for me in my life. Maybe if I have kids one day, that will beat it. But
I think it's the one moment in my life that I was actually rooting for the Eagles that game. Just because being from PA, I had to give them some love, but I was just like, oh well.
How do you think the Patriots and the Red Sox will do this year?
Well, the Red Sox are doing very, very well right now, leading the league and everything pretty much. So I'd love to see that keep going. We'll see if it's maintainable right now. Patriots, there's a lot of question marks still, so not confident in saying how I feel. But they're the Patriots. I feel they'll always bounce back even after a rough year.
The Red Sox really have their chance. I mean, the Phillies did just win the sweep the other day, but I'll just that's all we had going for us. They are garbage. But how about the Pirates, Brooke? How are they doing?
It's always a sad time for the Buckeyes. I saw a tweet the other day that said 2 Bucks have now just won the championship. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and now the Milwaukee Bucks. So someone said, "Oh, it's time for the next Buccos, the Pirates," and I'm like, "That's
us."
Their shot slims is. If I put a bet on them, I'd probably win $1 million. So
wow,
doing the World Series, but there we go.
And before I want to not to change topics, but Brooke, you actually there's a different kind of woman in sports, which are women that play sports, and you played sports through your whole life, even into college. What was it like being a female athlete?
Oh gosh, it was a lot. I mean, it was definitely the time of my life. I played all through ever since I was like 6 years old into high school, but being a college athlete before I came to Penn State was definitely a lot. I would wake up at 5 a.m., go to practice. We'd travel 8 hours to games, have to go to class. I would actually go to practice at 5 a.m. when I was in Pittsburgh, my old school, play, practice until 7:30, and then walk over the bridge for my field reporting class at 8 a.m. and then I'd go around the city and I'd do field reporting and packages. But it was definitely a lot. I learned a lot, though. It was probably one of the best times of my life, and it honestly made me appreciate how awesome it is to be able to cover and play a sport at the same time, because not many people can say they did that.
A lot of respect to you on that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, because we talk about how it's like what it's like to be a woman that works in sports, but we all know that there's also a problem with respect for women's sports in general,
For sure.
actual professional sports. When we were about to have the Olympics, and the best team that America has is maybe the U.S. women's national team soccer,
sure.
and then we have Simone Biles, the greatest in the world at what she does. So, and it's just sad that we still can't get the full respect for women athletes that they deserve.
I know that we at our station definitely, if women's soccer, who's phenomenal at UVA, is doing well, we're going to put them at the top of our show. We're not necessarily going to have to put whatever the men counterpart is ahead of them in our show, because they're amazing, and we want to obviously give them the correct coverage that they deserve.
It's little changes like that make the difference, because even though people were upset that women's national team doesn't make the money that the men's national team does, even though they are clearly way better, but it's just things like that you have to deal with. But before we wrap up, I want to touch on the Tom Sox one more time, but I want to know, we talked about women that have inspired us to get into, but I want to know, you mentioned your mentor, who's someone that you personally know that has supported you the most and inspired you the most to take on this career path?
I would say my answer, it's actually a man, which is great, because we should all also acknowledge the fact that we've had so many men who have led the way for us in this career as well, who have been those cheerleaders, supporters. So mine, his name is Tom Caron. He is the pre- and post-game show host for the Red Sox on Nesson, where I had worked for a long time, and he has just been my biggest cheerleader. I can send him my clips, I can send him different things, and he can always be there for advice. So just garnering those relationships as well with the men in this industry, who are the ones who are going to be cheering you on, is huge.
Brooke?
Definitely I'd have to say probably you at Penn State, one of my producers. It was really hard coming into a big school, but definitely you with all your help. My editors at the Collegian, it's obviously harder being at the college level, but all of my friends are super supportive in the field, which is great. Like you said, instead of making it always a competition, helping each other, bringing each other's skills together. So it's been great.
Well, I appreciate that. I try my best. But Danielle couldn't have said it better. The men in your life, I've been lucky enough. I know Brooke, we share the same friend group, but we also do a show at school. It's mostly guys, and those guys have been nothing but nice and supportive. They've become our best friends, and them being there for me has always made me feel encouraged. But I gotta say, the person who inspired me the most was my mom. Even you guys brought up Aaron and just people like that, I looked up to them, but my mom has always been the smartest person in sports that I've known. Wow. She knows everything about football and everything. So growing up with that and her just being the smartest person in the room showed me that I could be the smartest person in the room, and so I can never say thank you enough to my
Go mom.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll definitely have to tie my family in there a little bit too. I got interested in being on TV because my dad is home remodeling business. He would do commercials when I was in 6th grade, so that was the first time, I got to go on the camera. The local news would film us, my whole family. I would say, come out and support my dad at the PA Home Show. So that's how I got into camera. So my dad too, definitely got me into it. One of my biggest supporters.
Very cool.
I'm
Very
sure
cool.
your parents have always watched
Yeah,
sports
my dad's
too,
a huge sports fan. My mom not so much, but she's definitely supportive of what I do. So that's all that matters.
All right, so I want to know who's winning tonight, the Generals or the Tom Sox?
Definitely the Tom Sox. The Sox are hot, as everyone's saying, so we'll have to see how it goes tonight. Hopefully everyone comes out for Women in Sports tonight. I know you're doing a field reporting story on it tonight, so
Yeah,
it should
so
be
if
really
you see me with the
interesting.
camera, come up and talk to me.
Yes, for sure.
Gotta second that. Think they're on a good streak right now.
And, yeah, but right before we end, how do you think these playoffs are going for the Sox?
Think they got it. I can't imagine a situation where they don't got it.
I agree. Anything can happen, but it's like you look at the standings, and the Sox are so high and above. And you said they've gotten hot at the right time. This team is just really meshed. Even with the players that they've switched out, even new guys have just joined. It feels like they've always been here.
Yeah.
The way they've all been playing together. I just think if they keep playing their game, there's nobody that can compete.
Yeah, as long as they stay focused, it's going to be a lot of games in a row if they make it all the way, isn't it? 9 days in a row, 10 or something. So as long as they can stay focused and compete at a level, make sure they're resting good, they should be good to go for the championship.
You heard it here first. We're looking forward to the Tom Sox playoffs and, of course, the game tonight. Come out to Crutchfield Park, where admission is free because Carter Bacon Trust, and it is Women in Sports Night, so come out and support your women in sports. For Brooke Steach and Danielle Stein, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kelly Warner. Go Sox.